Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of What If Deku Was in Uchiha. Also check out my other videos on my channel. He will be a descendant of the Uchihas and get their abilities, and also he will have dark hair, but anyways. Hope you guys enjoy. Throughout the years our black-haired protagonist had suffered. He had been treated like an outcast due to him being quirkless and considered an abnormal in this society. So since he didn't have a power that he wasn't born with, people would treat him differently, and which led him to get bullied by his ex-best friend, Katsuki Bakugo. Once the blonde got his quirk, he changed. His personality twisted into one of pride, and once the boy found out Izuku was quirkless, he told him to not hang out with him no more, and so that was when the two stopped talking and being friends altogether. So Izuku would continue being alone and he wouldn't really mind it all that much, he got used to it. But soon that was about to change. It started when Katsuki started to bully people. And Izuku didn't like that, so that's why our protagonist would interfere, trying to stop the blonde from hurting anyone. That in turn was a bad idea, since that led him to being bullied. Izuku would stand up for himself, but not much he could do when he didn't have a quirk. So he just opted to train physically, but that still wouldn't be enough to beat Bakugo, and when he would try and fight back, he would just get ganged up on by his two lackeys. And after the beatdown, Katsuki would leave burn marks on our protagonist's arms, saying afterward that this will serve as a reminder to not cross him again, which didn't make sense. But whenever Izuku would fight Katsuki, or when his emotions flare, he would feel an itch in his eye, but he didn't know what that meant. When this happened, the world would move slower and then his eyes would start to hurt afterward. Side note, he has his Sharingan, he just needs one more push to be able to use it at will. But anyways, we now skip to when Izuku was 14 years old. Izuku was now in his final year of Aldera Junior High in Mizutafu. He woke up that day, and when he went to school he heard the teacher saying something about them wanting to go to hero schools, with Bakugo saying he's going to UA, and that ended there. Izuku was losing hope on becoming a hero. The more he lives in this world, the more he knows that it's just full of greedy people, even with the heroes. Most of them do it for the fame or the money. So at the end of the school day, Bakugo burned his notebook as usual and threatened him by telling him to take a swan dive off the roof to get a quirk in his next life. Izuku was now walking home looking down. Damn it. I don't think I want to be a hero anymore, it doesn't have the same meaning to me no more ever since I was little. But that's when Izuku hears something in the sewers, and not a moment afterward, a sludge-like substance came out of the sewers, breaking the floor, and attacks Izuku. Our protagonist, not expecting this, is now in worry. Damn it, I can't pull myself out, he thinks in his mind. Alright, just hold my breath and try to force my way out. Then he felt the familiar itch in his eye. But he couldn't ponder about it for too long because another figure came out of the sewers. Probably someone was tailing it. Izuku could barely hear, but he can see perfectly. He saw the number 1 hero, All Might in all his glory, shouting, "Fear not, citizen, why you ask? Because I am here, Detroit Smash." He launched a punch towards the sludge villain. With that punch he freed Izuku, and the air pressure from the punch made the sludge villain splatter. And once Izuku was free, he went unconscious with his eyes now going back to the normal color of black. 5 minutes later, our protagonist woke up to All Might tapping his face lightly to wake up. Once he did, he was in awe and was surprised that it wasn't a dream and really was All Might. All Might speaks up. "Wow, I thought I lost you there for a moment, sorry for getting you involved with my heroing, young man." Izuku didn't say anything, he just nodded. "But anyways, young man, I have to go, there are more villains I have to take care of." "Wait," All Might stammers. "Izuku, I want to ask you a question." "No, I can't wait, young man." As he says this, he readies to jump in the air. Izuku rushed forward. Then All Might jumped high into the air. "Wait, why do I feel something heavy on my leg?" He then looks down to see Izuku hanging on for dear life. "Listen, young man, I love my fans, but this is a bit too much." He then tries to yank Izuku off. "Yeah, but if I let go I will die," says Izuku while his mouth and eyes are extending unnaturally. "And I want to ask you a question." We all know where this is going, but anyways, back to the story. Alright, but close your eyes and mouth. He then spots a building and lands on it. He was going to leave again, but that's when Izuku spoke. Can it be possible for someone like me to be a hero like you even without a quirk? All Might stops himself from jumping away and looks back at our protagonist. You don't have a quirk. Then All Might coughs up some blood and quickly deflated with smoke. Izuku was staring in shock. Wait, All Might is injured. That's when he saw the skeletal form of Toshinori Yagi, which is Small Might. Our protagonist now in worry rushes over to Small Might. Are you okay? What happened to you, All Might? Said Hero explains how he fought a villain 5 years ago and showed Izuku his scar on his stomach. With him continuing, I lost half of my respiratory system from this villain. And made sure to keep it under wraps from the public. But young man, you asked if you could be a hero without a quirk, right? Izuku nods. Well, my answer to that is no, you cannot. You would just be a liability on the battlefield when you fight villains. Look at my injury as an example. I have one of the strongest quirks in the world and I still got this injured. Izuku was now looking down with him muttering, even All Might is like the rest, huh? But All Might didn't hear it. He then continues, listen, it's okay to dream big, but think realistically. He then walks over to the door and opens it, and before he leaves he speaks again. Why don't you try to become a police officer? They may get a lot of hate from the public. But it's a fine profession. As he says this, he walks away. All the while Izuku's eyes started to itch, and unlike before, it didn't go away. Izuku brought out his phone close to his eyes and looked at his screen. What was looking back at him was red eyes with a spinning wheel like think and 2 comas on his left eye. And on his right eye is a 1 tomo. What is this? I don't think this is a quirk. The doctor stated that I'm 100% quirkless. Even if this was a quirk, I don't even want to become a hero no more. He then walks down the building and down the road towards his home. 5 minutes later, our protagonist was walking down in shame, but that's when he hears an explosion up the road. He then walked over to see what was happening there. He saw the sludge villain and heroes attacking it, trying to subdue it. With Izuku thinking, wait, didn't All Might capture that thing? Oh wait. When I jumped onto him, he must have dropped it. I can't let it hurt an innocent bystander. If this was my doing. He then meets eyes with its captive. It was Katsuki Bakugo. Their eyes meet and he sees a fearful expression on the ash blonde's face, replacing his usual mean face. Well, maybe it wouldn't be too bad to wait for a hero to come and save him. He then stands up straight where he saw the ash blonde still looking at him, now in shock. Our protagonist looks over to his side where he saw All Might in his true form. Wow, even All Might, the #1 hero, can't do anything, huh? He then glances over at the pro heroes who was fighting the villains. And these idiots aren't doing anything. This goes on for about 30 more seconds. Izuku, now having had enough, mutters, fine, I'll do it myself. He then activates his Sharingan and he feels the usual itch. He pulls out a few pencils and pens and closes his backpack and threw it into the alley close by. Our protagonist sighs and rushes forward. At this point, all of the pro heroes and bystander were looking in awe and shock at this young man's seemingly suicide attempt. But back to our protagonist. He rushes forward and the sludge villain noticed him too and sent a few tendrils his way while saying, back off, kid, before I kill you. Izuku responded with, go ahead and try. All the while, Izuku noted that with his Sharingan activated, his physical abilities are enhanced. While he also noticed that he could see the sludge villain's attacks. It's like he could see it before he threw the attack. He dodges the sludge villain's attacks with ease. Then he sees an opening. Once he saw it, he took it. He threw his pencils and pens precisely at the sludge villain's eyes, allowing the ash blonde some breathing room. What are you doing here, Deku? I don't need your help. He says this while gasping for air. Izuku responds with, oh, don't misunderstand, I'm not doing this to save you, I'm only doing this because those useless heroes over there aren't doing anything. Katsuki. The ash blonde was now in shock. He also noticed that he didn't call him by his nickname no more. But in that moment the sludge villain surrounded Katsuki again and was now enraged. He shouts, I'll kill you, kid, and he launched 2 tendrils at a fast speed towards Midoriya. With said boy thinking, crap, I can't dodge this in time. But that's when All Might appeared saying, "Wow, I should take what I preach to heart, kid, thanks for inspiring me." As he says this he shouts, "Detroit Smash." As he says this he splattered the sludge villain and freed Bakugo and changing the weather in the process. But with Izuku, once All Might appeared, he used that as a distraction to get away. Back with All Might and Katsuki. All Might got surrounded by reporters, but he didn't know where the black-haired boy went. And Katsuki was getting crazed, but Izuku's words were playing through his mind. "I'm not doing this to save you, I'm only doing this because those useless heroes weren't doing anything, Katsuki." Those words keep playing throughout his mind, with him now realizing how much of a bad person he was to Izuku. With him muttering, "Damn it, what did I become?" And back with our protagonist. He was now a few blocks away from his house, and once he turned a corner, All Might appeared in front of him. "Young man, can I have a moment of your time? I came here wanting to correct a mistake and a proposal." Izuku looks at the number one hero with disgust. All Might soon recognized that look. That's when Izuku spoke up. "Listen, All Might, what would be the point in correcting a mistake when the damage was already done?" He says this with venom. He then continues, "And I don't want to hear any proposal you offer me. I'll take your advice and not become a hero." Our protagonist then walks away with All Might looking at his retreating figure while looking down. "I'm sorry, young man, for shattering your dreams." As he says this he walks away. Once Izuku got home, he was surprised when his mother wasn't home. He then glances over at the wall. By the door there was a note there. On said note it read, "Come to these coordinates, son." I saw the news, with the coordinates on the middle of the note, but then he turns it over to see that there is more writing. "And I also saw that you've awakened your Sharingan, so I have something to tell you." Izuku reads this and spoke, "Oh, so that's what it's called. I was going to call it magical eyes or some crap." He sighs and puts his bag down and walks over to the coordinates his mother gave him. 30 minutes later. He soon arrived at the area, which was in a forest, and once he walked into said forest. About 15 minutes in the direction it said on the note there, he saw an old-looking hut with his mother standing outside of it. Inko then speaks up. "So you've came, son, now I got some explaining to do. But first follow me, I'm pretty sure your father will do the explaining for me." She says this as she presses on the side of the old hut where it was a secret passage. "Now come along, honey." Izuku follows his mother, not saying a word, going down a barely lit up staircase that leads to a place that he doesn't know. After 10 minutes of walking they soon arrive at a door with Inko telling her son to enter without her. She then continues, "I will wait right here." Izuku nods and enters the room. In the room he saw a fairly dark room with a table in the middle with a fire on the side of said table. Lighting it up. He then walks over to the table, where he sees 4 scrolls. Izuku was now confused. "Wait, I thought my father was going to be here." He sighs and opens one of the 4 scrolls. On the scroll it read, "Izuku-san, if you are reading this, then you've awakened your powers. Now this isn't a quirk, your ability known as the Sharingan is a special Kekkei Genkai from an old shinobi clan. That being the Uchihas. They were a clan from an old village from long ago. That being Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. But now you must be wondering how I know all this. Well, son, you are a descendant of the Uchihas." Izuku continues reading, eyes wide. "Now son, I know you must have suffered due to you not being like other around you, but what you have is far greater than some quirk. You have the ability to use chakra since you don't have a quirk. You see, quirks originated from chakra, which is the essence of all life. And since you don't have a quirk, you have what few in this world does, which is chakra, son. You can produce chakra naturally. That's how you were able to activate your Sharingan in the first place." It then continues, "Only a few people know about chakra since it's been long lost throughout the ages, but the Uchihas used chakra to record scrolls and pass them down throughout the generations, and now I'm passing them on to you, son." Izuku then turns over the scroll. "You see, with chakra you can use various justice and abilities, but that's taking into an account of your nature energy. On the side of the note there was a special type of paper that once you put chakra into it, and under it reads. The paper would show you your chakra natures. If it slices in half you will have a wind nature. If it burns you have a fire nature. If the paper gets soggy you have a water nature. and will crumble if you have an earth nature. Under that it reads, if you run your chakra through this paper you will find out which nature you have. To do this just try to focus your energy onto the paper. He then picks up the paper and tries to put chakra into it but was struggling to do so. Izuku then gets an idea and activates his Sharingan and tries again and it works. The paper burns and with Izuku thinking, oh, so I have an affinity for fire. He then looks over to the letter again. Son, you will probably have an affinity for fire since that was our clan's element, but now that you know this, on the scroll next to this one, it shows the various jutsus for fire and also some high-level ninjutsu. And on the third scroll there is an old military outfit. You see, I wore this for a few years, but then I grew out of it, so now I'm giving it to you, but you will have to put chakra into it and the items will come out. Think of Itachi's Umbu outfit since it's the same design along with Sasuke's sword. He then glances back to the scroll, now being at the end of the letter it reads. And on the fourth scroll, soon I want you to not open it until you awaken your Mangekyo Sharingan. You see, if you use this evolved version of the Sharingan, after a while you will go blind, so in that scroll is a pair of eyes from my late brother. He died while protecting me from some heroes that took us as villains. But anyway, son, I am now traveling around the world. I am making an old organization come back to life. I will save people with villainous quirks and quirkless people, also people that are just misunderstood. I took this name from one of the organizations of the old shinobi world, the Akatsuki. But that is the end of this part. If you enjoyed this part, leave a like and comment on how this part came out.